The perception of a theatrical production is often influenced by how well the performances, the costumes, the sets, the lights blend for the audience. With both creative and technical elements carrying equal weight, collaboration is crucial, especially when undertaking the monumental task of adapting one of the most beloved musicals of all time, Leonard Bernstein and Stephen Sondheim's West Side Story.
Five, 6, 7, 8, on. Ba-da-da. Over. Putting the show together, I wanted to do as much a sense of the Jerome Robbins choreography as we could get. Turn, stop. Good. It's a tough show to cast because there are so many men, and you need men who can move really well, if not be great dancers. And after teaching the choreography and placing people where they went, we spent a lot of time focusing on the intent of the dances, of the numbers, and really solidifying the feel of each one. I wanted not only the dance steps, but I needed the acting, because to me, all the dances in the story come from an internal place. Don't let choreography hamper your feeling of the piece. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you a chicken? You won't understand. Huh? Chicken? Yes, chicken! Get him! Normally, in a production, you would have a separate fight choreographer than a choreographer of the dances.
You know, you're ready to spit on him, which is different than what I was getting at, which is different than half fear, half rage.
Chris Neese was the fight choreographer for the production. Choreographing a fight takes a special talent on how to throw punches. There's specific ways to fall on the ground without injuring yourself or people around you. And there's a big essence of spatial awareness when choreographing a fight.
So first meeting is first beat. Here we go. Boom.
Ready.
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 In choosing my dance captains, I really wanted two, and specifically one male and one female.
Ba 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 ba. Yeah. It was like because all the other ones are so. Yeah. Now we're just kind of slowly but surely getting through the numbers and running through them, and we have a variety of dancers here with different techniques. So my goal is just to get every dancer looking as clean and as sharp as possible, and making the number as a whole look very put together.
A lot of you are just hitting and then going. Let it rise and come down.
Well, having two dance captains, I believe, is the only way to do a show, because I think you need a girl and a guy, because what I can do in my body is a lot different than what Andrew could do in his body. And especially in a show like West Side Story, where there's a huge cast with guys and girls, we might miss a few things might get muddy in our mind. So I always have Andrew there to back me up and for me to actually ask him questions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
As the dance captain, the responsibilities were much larger than just as a dancer, because as a performer, you're always told, don't correct anybody else, because that's the director's job, or that's the dance captain's job, or that's the music director's job. And so it was very strange for me to be in a position like that, to be like, you're doing this wrong, you need to fix it.
Let the step really lean in, and then you continue the step.
As a dance captain, everyone's eyes are on you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's not only nerve-wracking because if you're not picking up that dance incredibly fast and you have every single step down, you could be messing up everyone else because everyone else is looking at you. So that's something that was nerve-wracking and also challenging because I had to pick up those dances so quickly and I had to be able to do them just as well as Tim envisioned it so that I was able to help the other people do it. So it was a little hard. I had a challenge with that sometimes.
5, 6, 7, 8. Tim's movements to me sometimes are very strange. They don't fit on my body. So it takes me some more time to work with Tim, but I like that because it's very challenging. It's down left, up right, fence, up left, or up right again.
Down, up, fence, up.
We had been rehearsing for about a month and everything was fine and it was going great. And then one morning I woke up and I couldn't walk. Long story, I tore my meniscus. Now there's nothing I could do about it except rest it and make sure it gets better. I was petrified that I wasn't going to be able to be in the show. It was a challenge to do the production. Every night I was petrified that my knee would just lock up and not be able to do any of the moves that Tim had choreographed. And all those things are big things to stay away from when you have a torn meniscus. But everybody was very, very supportive and were very, very helpful through the whole process.
Just be comfortable with it, because you guys have it.
Yeah. Me.
You have it. You have the choreography down.
Once everything is able to synchronize together, it's magical. It helps everybody, and you know that you're about to put on something phenomenal.
The best thing about rehearsal process is the final product. It's not only a great feeling because of the fact that you feel like you did so much, but also I feel like I actually helped people. I actually helped my friends. And just finally see the whole thing as a whole, it was the first experience that I've had to actually feel like I actually had a part in making a dance look good.
Something due any day, I will know right away, soon as it shows. It may come cannonballing down from the sky, gleaming inside, bright as a light.
How about the tape measure? Do you have a tape measure so that we can get the scale right?
Yeah.
We started the process for the design of West Side Story in the spring of this year by reading the script and discussing what we thought about it and where it stands in the history of the musical theater. And so discussions between director and designer take place in order to kind of get at the roots of what this play is about. And we explore all the possibilities. So it's a dialogue that happens early on in the process.
We've already established we don't want the bottom pipe to sink into the floor because I'm concerned about heels and people tripping in the width of that slot.
From my point of view, scenically, it's where are we? You know, when are we? What are the requirements of the action of the script? And so that has a great bearing as to exactly how we can physically think about designing the production. Through the course of the schedule, preliminary drawings are completed and then they're reviewed and we talk a little more about it. Sketches are done. And this time my assistant, Steve Ricker, he put a lot of three-dimensional imagery in the computer prior to final designs being done in order to give the director and the cast some images beforehand, and then we refine those and create models, create paint samples, then send the specific drawings into the shop once they're approved by the artistic director, and we begin construction.
Okay, that's good.
Sounds good. Oh, God.
As the technical director here at UCF, I'm responsible for taking the design from the set designer and realizing it on stage. I'm in charge of supervising the electrics crews and the scenery construction crews and the run crews. So first you're going to start out by ripping 3 strips. Not as much of the manual labor is done by me, as again I'm here to facilitate and supervise and make sure that the job is really done by the students, because it's their responsibility and it's their educational opportunity to get this stuff done. It's not my job to build it, it's my job to make sure that they build it. My grandpa used to use these to cut cars in half. You're loose now.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to pull this.
Going into each project, you need to look at each project individually. Each one has different needs that have to be met. But overall, we want a design to not pop out and say, this is our set, this is what it is. Our primary concern going into this project was fitting West Side Story into our very small space. We had what's called a unit set, where there's just one set throughout the entire play, except with ours things moved around and things shifted just slightly, but that could be done by the actors and could be done under the lighting so that they could be seen and could be part of the world of West Side Story.
All right, Steve.
Safety was a big concern for us. To ensure the safety of the actors, I, along with some of the other people in the shop, made it a point to climb the fences when they were installed just to make sure that there were no safety issues in that area.
We're getting close, which is an exciting feeling, starting at this process from the very beginning and watching it grow. And it's just interesting to see it in full scale when you've been seeing just miniature models of it. It seems like no matter how accurate the model or the renderings are, it'll turn out just slightly different when you come in here. But that's the exciting part.
Just a couple of more handrails to go up and a couple more hanging pieces of scenery and we're there. Lots of dressing, furniture and stuff like that. I feel great. This is probably one of the biggest, baddest, heaviest sets that I've built here. It went seamlessly. I feel really good.
Come on, something, come on in. Don't be shy, meet a guy, pull up a chair.
I think it's coming along great. I think the cast is going to have a ball on it. It's like a big jungle gym.
And something great is coming.
Okay, 26, 26, 36, 26. Well, I've always been involved in the technical aspects of theater, and I've always really enjoyed the lighting, especially the electric aspects of it. So that's how I became involved, as like I started getting into like electrician and seeing what they do, and I just enjoyed doing it. And my #1 position that I requested for was master electrician. As master electrician, we're given the lighting plot from the designer, and we put up all the lights, we circuit all the lights, we make sure everything works, we cut gels, we make sure we have gobos, make sure everything's ready for basically the day of focus. And once focus comes around, it's up to the designer. We're gonna start from center, and the 50 goes 3 feet off of center. If you want to be a master electrician, you have to want to be involved in the whole entire process. You just did. If you like to see something basically come from, the bottom up, then definitely this is for you. But you have to be very dedicated because it takes a lot of time.
You missed half of the far pipe.
No, I thought these were all these vertical ones. It was important to have Matthew around because he is a house electrician and I was under him. I'm the master electrician just for the show.
There you go, now tip it up.
He basically mentored me and guided me throughout the whole entire way, and every time I had a question, he would be the person that I would go to.
And lights go.
That's it. Once a lighting plot is up on that main stage, And once everything works basically, then I hand it off to the designers and they go into Q to Q and they're in charge of programming. Because my job is just to set up everything for them. It's a spectacle, basically. Just everything, all the lights, made the moments sometimes. It just made the whole experience a lot better, especially knowing that I was involved with it. Like, it just made the experience 10 times better to watch. And it's so exciting.
One of the things that I like to do as a designer is to look for visual inspiration, not specifically from clothing, but from art from the period. So for this show, the design concept, or the color concept really for the costumes, came from a painting that I found that was painted in 1957, the year of the show. Don't worry about so much what it's looking like on the back. I wasn't particularly hands-on in the construction of West Side Story because I also had an assistant designer, a graduate student named Grace Trimble, so I had more time to focus on the design details. This piece in particular is going to be this section right here, so we're going to want to cut it.
I helped Dan by, he explained to me what his vision was for the show and what it was for the costumes, and then I went with him to help pull costumes and helped to construct some of the costumes that he had rendered. As a first-year MFA student, this was my first production at UCF, so I had experience at my undergraduate college, but their production process is just a little different, and it was a learning experience as far as how this theater processes their productions.
So that's red, and then is this underskirt, is it a full skirt or is it just the front panel?
Dan and I collaborated a lot. There was a lot of back and forth explaining what he was thinking and the pieces that I had pulled and why I thought they would fit the show. And then we discussed whether or not that fit the character we were trying to costume.
Looks just like the drawing.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. The thing that's different about West Side Story is that it's so iconic. It's one of those shows that everybody knows, everybody's seen the movie, so they come in with a certain expectation. And one of the things that was really important to me as a designer was to take that expectation and not only fulfill it, but surpass it. In designing the costumes for the show, what really it made me think about all the details, making sure that the color and the silhouette were appropriate to the period, but really informing who the characters are. And that informed my decision to make the jets blue as if they saw this as their world, and that the colors of red and yellow and orange were the sharks, who were, in the opinion of the jets, infiltrating their world. With Anita, I used a lot of strong angular lines. She's a very powerful, aggressive woman. And so you move through the show with her, and as her color begins to progress, also the silhouette of her costume changes, so that she ends up at the end of the show, when she's vulnerable and she's experienced loss, she has a lot more soft curvature to the lines of her costumes and a lot softer, more subdued color. One of the things that we did with Maria following her arc through the show is changing her color. The first time we see Maria, she's in a yellow dress with pink trim, which is feeding off of that warm color of the sharks. And as she progresses through the show, she puts on her party dress and has just these little hints of purple that are sort of a visual hint to the audience that there's something different about her in terms of the rest of the Shark Girls. When you see her getting dressed for I Feel Pretty, all of a sudden there's this vibrant purple, and there's a lot more skin showing of her shoulders and her chest as she begins to open up and become a woman. And then finally moving into the final look, she's again more exposed, but again she goes into curvilinear lines and the deep dark purples. We didn't want to go black because it just seemed kind of trite and done.
this is the dress for the dance.
It's not tacked down in the back. So
Oh,
that needs
okay.
to be fixed.
Definitely. Tank top. So yesterday I got my MRI checked out, and they think that I can get through West Side Story as long as nothing is bothering me during the run of the show, and as long as I keep it wrapped and take care of it by wearing tennis shoes and my knee brace. Oh yeah, that's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I have plenty of room.
Okay, good.
Hopefully it will go well.
As moving as the show is, the most moved that I became during the show was the first moment in the dance where there's this big swell in the music and it's ba-ba-ba-ba and the lights come up and it's the first time that you see that big kaleidoscope of all the colors at the same time. It was what I had seen in my head, and now it was something real.
I think for anyone who wants to consider a career in music, dance, theater, anything, there's so much that people don't realize because all they see is the performing and they say, oh, that was so much fun, what a great actor. They don't realize the amount of work that went into it. You have to love what you do. You have to. If you don't love it, then why you shouldn't do it.
When I started this, I was ready, I was tempted to get lazy, I was tempted to just go to bed, go home, not do my homework, forget about it, but you have to do your work.
In theater in general, there's this melding of many worlds that bring together what the audience ultimately sees. And we had, I think, an amazing team to bring a beautiful picture to the stage. Get ready for an audience.
In the words of West Side Story's composer, the late Leonard Bernstein, to achieve great things, two things are needed: a plan and not quite enough time. With a cast and crew of nearly 60 students, but with only months to execute, West Side Story has now become the largest musical produced by the University of Central Florida's Conservatory Theatre. You can visit their website at www.theater.ucf.edu to learn more about West Side Story or other UCF theater productions. We invite you to join us next time as we bring you the latest developments in the arts within the University of Central Florida's community. I'm Bea Boyd, and thanks for visiting the gallery.